Nakachi with Daily Profit Cycle. I'm sitting down with a special guest. We've been writing more and more about cryptocurrencies. I've been involved in the sector for quite a while now, going back to 2013 when Bitcoin was trading right around $1,000, and I started recommending it to readers. And then a couple of years later, financed a private company that went on to IPO that was doing some crypto mining and had a data center in Sweden that was using the Arctic air there to cool the center, and was being powered by clean energy that was produced with hydroelectric dams. And so that was many years ago, and all that has come really into the fore now as Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies in general have become the recipient of the inflation that has taken hold in the market, displacing gold and silver in some respects. NFTs have come on in a big way, and of course we're hearing more and more about decarbonization, not just of cryptocurrencies, but of supply chains for all materials, and of course energy and agriculture, etc. And so I've made some money in cryptocurrencies, both in cryptocurrency stocks and Bitcoin itself. But Mr. Chris Curl here has made a lot more money in cryptocurrencies, some 60 to 75 times his money, not just on mainstream currencies, but primarily on altcoins, or what I previously referred to as shit coins. So Chris has taught me a lot about the crypto space. I enjoy speaking with him about it, about alternative assets, about monetary policy, etc. And he's clearly had success in the crypto market, and I think he's can be an asset to you as well. And so we're going to launch some new research here for you soon called Chris Curl's Crypto Cycle. And as a part of that, we'll be doing what we do, typically bring you quality information and insights in the form of interviews, reports, and editorials, certainly like the one we're doing here. So, Chris, why cryptocurrencies?
Well, really looking back in 2020, when you kind of observe the actions of the federal government passing the CARES Act at a cost of, what was it? I think a total of $3 to $4 trillion. I think people kind of saw the writing on the wall. Certainly I did when it came to looking for an inflation hedge, an alternative to the dollar. And crypto really looked to be the place where, that was happening. Especially I remember, seeing like the value of Bitcoin just continuing to go up. I mean, it hit, I think in December of 2020, it was at $40,000. So that was a moment where recently I really decided to go in pretty heavily on Bitcoin and altcoins because the writing was kind of on the wall when it came to inflation and kind of the future of the US dollar, at least in the short term.
Why cryptocurrencies, though, and not gold? So I came up in the natural resource space, made a lot of money in gold stocks, and gold or precious metals have traditionally been looked to as the inflation hedge, right? Well, the inflation wolf is at the door, sort of. Gold went to record prices in 2020, but hasn't had that great of a 2021 at all. So I would say it's held its own and sort of did its job last year. But when you compare it to something like Bitcoin, it's been left in the dust. So I guess why cryptos and not gold for you?
Well, essentially gold, just if you look at its past price performance, at least recently, it just doesn't have the kind of gains that crypto does. You could do an entire book on why that is. Conspiracy theories abound as to whether, gold and silver are being suppressed, et cetera, or if this is just kind of the new 21st century inflation hedge, Bitcoin, as opposed to gold. I'm not sure, but I mean, it was obvious to me that all the momentum was in cryptocurrency as far as an inflation hedge for the short term. In the long term, I mean, gold might still do something. I still think it's a good investment option. It's good to have some money in gold, but I do think that at least in the short term, crypto is the inflation hedge for right now. And elaborating further on that, I do think that crypto is in something of a speculative mania right now. So
What's
really,
the new kid on the block?
yeah, it's the new kid on the block. Everybody's getting into it. Young people are getting into it. I don't think young people have a lot of interest in precious metals generally. I mean, a crypto, named after like a dog or something. I guess it's just something that appeals more to them than gold or silver. But yeah, I mean, we're in kind of something of a speculative mania in crypto right now, whereas gold is definitely not in that sort of cycle. So right now, crypto is where the money's to be made.
Yeah, and the kids, right? The millennial generation and the generation after them, we're sort of the oldest of the millennial generation, and so they came up online buying tokens and stuff in Farmville and having profiles, and so they're sort of have been cultured or indoctrinated for that.
Yeah, they're used to assets being digital already, whereas older people, they don't think it's real.
Absolutely, and that's so it just led to the ease of adoption and the speculative mania that you see. But more than that, especially now, it's entrenched or is becoming entrenched, at least in Wall Street in real financial terms, right? Financial institutions are starting to dabble in it. You just had the first futures ETF approved. China's cracking down on it, which means that it's a real thing. And so, DeFi is becoming a movement, decentralized finance, and there's whole cultures and landscapes emerging to trade, not just the main ones, Bitcoin and Ethereum, but Cardano and Solana and all the ones that you're going to be writing about. And people have a lot of questions. I had a lot of questions as well. Which exchange do you open up? How do you attach a wallet to an exchange? When is a good time to buy? I've sort of been writing about that a little bit lately, just based on the chart. But Chris is going to be providing information across the spectrum on cryptos, including the answers to the questions I just asked: which exchanges, which coins, teach me about decentralized finance. We're going to be doing all of that. I just wanted to take a couple of minutes to introduce him. So you'll start to get to know him more and more. We'll be continually sending out articles and research reports that he writes, and you should get used to seeing him around. Chris, before we go, I guess the last thing I wanted to ask you to explain or to tell the audience is sort of your philosophy on the halving of Bitcoin and sort of your outlook for the next 3 to 6 months going into 2022, just based on that.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, essentially, since its creation, Bitcoin has a process called halving. It's written into the code of Bitcoin itself. It's essentially happens every 4 years. The first one was in 2013. And it basically halves the rewards that Bitcoin miners acquire through mining Bitcoin, to put it in the simplest terms. I'm not going to get into the technicals of it because it's not really important. I mean, the thing
makes it harder, more scarce.
Yeah, well, it essentially makes it in some ways more scarce. It does seem to have a very strong effect on its price. So usually what happens is roughly a year after the halving to 18 months after the halving, Bitcoin basically has a massive blow off top. It has an extended bull run. There's some corrections along the way, but a massive blow off top where it shoots up, massively. Yeah, so the last halving was May 11th, 2020. So that puts us kind of right towards the latter stage of this current bull run, where we really should start seeing this mania phase where it just has its blow off top and goes parabolic. I mean, we might be looking at $150,000 Bitcoin. I think that's very realistic for end of Q4, beginning of 2022. I think it could even maybe go up to $350,000 on the upper side. And the good thing with that is when Bitcoin has these huge parabolic gains, it usually corrects a little bit and stabilizes to a degree. When that happens, that's when all the altcoins make a huge run. You're even seeing that a little bit right now.
I was just going to say,
where Bitcoin had that big, punch up to $68,000. Went down, stabilized a bit, and now altcoins are running. Altcoins have been going crazy.
Interesting.
So that happens to an even larger degree on Bitcoin's last blow off top, when the altcoins just surge right behind it. And that's where you really want to be conscious of cashing out and taking your gains. And it's really where fortunes are made.
It's been by the dip in stocks. It's been by the dip in commodities, and it's certainly been by the dip in cryptocurrencies. And that's what we're going to be doing here over the next couple of months. We're going to make a real money $50,000 portfolio. Chris is going to manage it, and we're going to use that as a basis to send out information, alerts, and guidance to you based on how we're managing the real money, because that's how basically this information industry is going. Having skin in the game, just like we do with stocks on the newsletter side, the financial stock newsletter side. We're going to do the same thing with crypto. So keep an eye out for more from Chris. Keep an eye out for more about crypto cycle. And for now, it's Nick Hodge from Daily Profit Cycle signing off with Chris Carroll.